Internal Revenue Service IRS Tax News Reminder to all taxpayers. Gift cards are not used to make tax payments. IRS Tax Tip 2020-151, November 9th, 2020. Gift cards are a popular and convenient gift for all occasions. They're also a tool that scammers use to steal money from people. Scammers often target taxpayers by asking them to pay a fake tax bill with gift cards. They may also use a compromised email account to send emails requesting gift card purchases for friends, family, or co-workers. The IRS reminds taxpayers gift cards are for gifts, not for making tax payments. Here's how the scam usually happens. The most common way scammers request gift cards is over the phone through a government impersonation scam. However, they will also request gift cards by sending a text message, email, or through social media. A scammer poses as an IRS agent, will call the taxpayer or leave a voicemail with a callback number informing the taxpayer that they are linked to some criminal activity. For example, the scammer will tell the taxpayer their identity has been stolen and used to open fake bank accounts. The scammer will threaten or harass the taxpayer by telling them that they must pay a fictitious tax penalty. The scammer instructs the taxpayer to buy gift cards from various stores. Once the taxpayer buys the gift cards, the scammer will ask the taxpayer to provide the gift card number and PIN. Here's how the taxpayer can tell if it's really the IRS calling. The IRS will never call to demand immediate payment using a specific payment method such as gift cards, prepaid debit card, or wire transfer. So just remember, the IRS is a bureaucratic agency. So they can be a threatening agency, but they're typically usually kind of a slow working and methodical agency. They're going to move on typically in a methodical way. So the IRS will not generally call someone with a threatening type of phone call and say that they're going to be taking like immediate action. Typically, that's not the way things normally work. Usually they contact through basically the mail, and they keep on contacting through the mail and having repeated information, so you pretty much are well aware of the circumstances. It's not likely that you're going to get some kind of circumstance that comes out of the blue and the IRS says, hey, I need immediate action on this thing that you've never heard of, at this point in time right here. Also, if you're going to be paying the IRS, they have multiple ways to collect the payments at the IRS. And I think this would go for any kind of scam. This is one of the things that are difficult for scammers, is to collect the payment in such a way that they can not only get a hold of the payment, but that there's not an audit trail for the payment as well, so you can find out where the payment went at a future point in time. That means they're going to be really restricted to the forms of payment that can be provided for them, because although there's a whole lot of payment methods right now, many of them are trackable and traceable, and so they're going to limit their method to try to get the money in a way that's not trackable and traceable. And cash is not typically an option when you're paying something like on the IRS, some type of electronic transfer, and electronic transfers typically have an audit trail. So that limits them to something weird oftentimes, which could be something like a gift card. So that's why the gift card might be something that they put in place, because they can get the PIN number and whatnot, have access to the money without that audit trail, possibly what could be one of the reasons that it's there. But anytime you see that severe limitation in terms of how the payment can be delivered, and a severe rush in terms of this needs to be done immediately or we're going to take type of action, I would think that those are two indications of scamming in general. So anyways, back to the text. Generally, the IRS will first mail a bill to any taxpayer who owes taxes. So the IRS, when the IRS acts, they will typically find if they think you owe money, they'll send you a bill on it, typically by the mail, and that's where the starting point will be. So demand that the taxpayers pay taxes without the opportunity to request or appeal the amount they owe. All taxpayers should be aware of their rights. So notice the IRS, when they do send a letter, if they say that you owe money, then they're going to say that this is our case, that we believe that you owe money based on these circumstances. And you do have, of course, the right to then take action in a reasonable amount of time as well. You can appeal that decision, and then it would be a slow-moving process typically from that point forward. If you just ignore the letter, then you'll probably get another letter and so on following up. But they wouldn't basically say, we found that this is the problem and you owe us money, right now, and you have no other recourse other than to pay us immediately at this point in time, because typically you always have another recourse to argue it and then argue your case. So back to the text. Threaten to bring in local police, immigration officers, or other law enforcement to have the taxpayer arrested for not paying. So again, anytime you see that immediate action where they're saying the IRS, do this, this is the first time you've ever heard from the IRS, do this or else we're going to arrest you, like now, that is not typically the way the IRS will work. Back to the text. Threaten to revoke taxpayer's driver's license, business license, or immigration status. So again, that kind of threat that happens immediately from the IRS taking action when you've never heard about anything before is not going to be a normal process for the IRS. So any taxpayer who thinks they've been targeted by a scammer should contact the Treasury Inspector General for tax administration report a phone scam. Use their IRS impersonation scam reporting webpage. There's a link to that here. They can also call 800-366-4484. Report phone scams to the Federal Trade Commission. Use the FTC complaint assistant. There's a link to that here on ftc.gov, ftc.gov. They should add, quote, IRS phone scam, end quote, in the notes. Report threatening or harassing telephone calls claiming to be from the IRS to phishing@irs.gov. That's going to be the email link here. Please include, quote, IRS phone scam, end quote, in the subject line. More information can be found at the links below, including IRS impersonation scam reporting, consumer alerts, report phishing, phone scams. There's a link to those items here. There'll be a link to this in the description.